Welcome to Face to Face. This is a show about change and what's next. It's a show that asks questions and peels back the layers of our average everyday experience and goes beyond scratching the surface. We interview people doing incredible things who are making a difference around the globe. Join me as we listen in and get one step closer to understanding that big ideas shared create collaboration. Collaboration can inspire community, and communities create social change. I'm David Peck, and this is Face to Face. Well, welcome to another edition of Face to Face. I am so thrilled to be presenting this next interview with three writer, producer, director, actors from an absolutely beautiful film called Godavari. And we have Nikhil Mahajan, Jitendra Joshi, and Gauri Nalavdi here with us today to talk about what I think is one of my favorite films of 2021. And I hope for you, as you find this film online or in a theater in the not so distant future, will become one of your favorite films as well. It's beautiful. It's a touching and a compassionate piece. It was a real cleansing experience for me. And Nikhil, I hope that makes you smile as you might be listening into this. This is a film about a river, and it's about a city, and it's about the characteristics that this river and this city take on and become a part of this film. This is a story about wisdom. It's about tradition. It's about families and the legacy of how deep those roots actually go. It's about getting back to basics. It's about perspective and about seeing through other people's eyes. And it's about this, it's about this moment. You hear me talk a lot about this existential space that we find ourselves in, about putting our footsteps in front of one another, not just literally, but metaphorically and existentially as we move into the future. And it's about freedom. It's about choice. It's about responsibility. So this Godavari is about doing things intentionally and doing things with significance. This is a film about legacy and about love and like I said, just about that deep love for friendships. It's about celebrating the moment as well, and about freedom and acceptance and this idea that love really is or really comes from within. I hope you're going to step in to this conversation, and I hope you have as much fun as I did. And again, it's Godavari. It's a beautiful, brilliant, compassionate film. It was really touching on so many levels and quite a cinematic experience. And when you find out how quickly the film was shot and the budget that it was used to shoot this film, it's a lesson in filmmaking for sure. So stay tuned, and don't forget davidpecklive.com for more information about my writing and my speaking. You can get a copy of Real Change is Incremental there. You can also dig deep on coming up on 600 podcasts on facetofacelive.ca, which is connected to davidpecklive.com. Lots of fun stuff coming out of Sundance and going into South by Southwest. And wow, I can't believe we're coming up on Hot Docs and the Hong Kong Festival, and TIFF is not that far away either. So please look back through Face to Face and have a listen. Please sign up wherever you listen to podcasts, sign up to the RSS feed. And if you get a chance, leave us a review. I would really appreciate it. It makes all the difference in the world. Thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. And like I said, a quick review can make all the difference in the world. Socially mediate us wherever you can. We'd appreciate it for sure. But right now, stay tuned for a wonderful conversation with three very special people talking about a beautiful, brilliant, compassionate new film, Godavari. We have Nikhil Mahajan, Jitendra Joshi, and Gauri Nalavdi here with us today on Face to Face. Well, welcome to Face to Face Live. We are joined by three very special guests. I can't tell you how thrilled I am to have them here calling from, well, the other side of the world. I think it's safe to say that's exactly who we have here. We have three guests here to talk about a new film that's going to be playing at the Vancouver International Film Festival called Godavari. We have the director, Nikhil Mahajan, here with us. I'm not even sure what Jitendra actually does, but he's an actor and a producer. He writes lyrics. He just does a little bit of everything. But we have Jitendra Joshi here, and we have Gauri Nalavdi here with us as well. How's that for pronunciation? Did I get it?
Amazing. Amazing.
That's
Listen,
depend on them,
Absolutely.
definitely.
thank you all for joining me here today. It's a real pleasure to have you on the
Thank
show.
you.
And isn't it
It's
wonderful?
our pleasure.
Isn't it wonderful that we can connect this way on this simple thing called Zoom? We probably would never have met if it wasn't for this little piece of technology. So let's say a quick thank you for that. So before we start, I just want to say congratulations. What a beautiful, gentle, compassionate, and moving film. I'm trying to think of more adjectives. I'm going to have to come up with a couple others because really, it just. Anyway, thank you, Nikal. What a moving story.
Thank you so much. I'm glad it could reach out to you in the way that it has. I really am.
So before we really step into some of the film, I'm wondering if Nikal, you could tell us a little bit about the journey to get here to this story. I know some people, I've read a couple of articles already about the film, and somebody's actually referred to this as a new beginning for you. And I wondered if you could talk about that, because I don't know if you could have found a better story for a new beginning.
Um, I won't really call it a new beginning, to be honest. I think it's very kind of people to say things like that. I think what I honestly did was just told a story, the way it was seeming right to me. Um, Beyond that, there was a bit of a metamorphosis, decidedly, in terms of style. I wanted to kind of get a little bit away from my genre beginnings, but that's the only thing that I kind of intentionally did. Beyond that, I think drama is similar beyond, no matter what the genre is. The core of drama and human emotions remains the same, whether it's a zombie thriller or a film like Godavari. I think people react similarly. So as far as that goes, it wasn't really very different. But I think because I've been doing genre stuff for a long time now, I think uh, it's a bit of uh, I don't know, a different world to be stepping into. It's quite fun because I honestly didn't know, it was very difficult for me to make a film like this, where I don't really have a lot of support in terms of technical wizardry. I'm intentionally not using a lot of dollies or Steadicam or elaborate sound design or VFX. So it was important for me to kind of go back to the basics of what we learn in film school, is that it's fundamentally um, that. So yeah, so the journey so far with Godavari has been very exciting. And then when people say things like what you said about the film, I think it's going well. I think I'd like to believe that.
Could you have made this film? For me, was about so many things. I mean, it's about tradition and family and love and relationships. It's about marriage. It's about uh, empathy and so many things. Nikal, could you have made a documentary about some of these subjects, or do you prefer to project truth in a narrative way or a narrative format? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, there are things in the film that are very much worthy of a documentary. Uh, if I could make one, I'm not too sure. I don't think I have that kind of patience. Uh,
That's funny.
yeah, but like I don't think I can just edit for that long. But I feel I just narrative features come naturally to me. It is more liberating because I'm no longer tied to someone's version of reality. I'm not under the
It's good.
pressure. I'm not. I'm not under the pressure of um, telling someone's truth, and it's very liberating that I can find my own truth uh, in narrative fiction. So I think I just prefer that. But yeah, you're right that a lot of these themes could be documented in a non-fiction format.
Gauri, I want to ask you a question about about that idea that, I mean, I interview a lot of documentarians, a lot of people, but I also interview a lot of actors like yourself. And by the way, a beautiful performance, I thought, from you, just wonderful. And the truths that you communicate through your character, I think it's so important in films like this that I don't even know if I necessarily have to pay attention to what you're doing in the film, but you draw me in such a way that you communicate this love, you communicate understanding for your husband, for your family. And can you talk a little bit about that as you, I don't know, develop a character, as you developed your character in this story itself? I don't even, that's a pretty big question, I guess, but I'd just love to hear a couple thoughts from you as an actor about the, that fiction and reality line, if you know what I mean.
Mm. First of all, thank you so much for making us comfortable. And you're such a nice and kind person. And
You're welcome.
I guess the film is written so beautifully. Prajakta and Nikhil has written this film. And when I read the character, when I read the script, it was so simple. She's a compassionate, honest person. And, I guess she's the one who carries the tradition. We talk a lot about tradition in this film, and I guess like her mother-in-law, she's the one who's carrying this tradition so well with compassion, and as you said correctly, that she understands everything and she speaks through her eyes. And I guess I would like to give credit to Nikhil because he he actually gave me the brief so precisely, and he knew his character so well. Because as an actor, we tend to get selfish and tend to give a little bit more, do a little bit more, and we could
Sure.
slip there as an actor that I want to do more and I want to express more. But he was very particular about every scene. She doesn't have much scenes in the film, but whatever she does it so significantly. And Nikhil used to always tell me what exact emotion he wanted, and I'm so grateful that this collaboration has been very simple yet very I was evolving every day as a person. That city was a character, that place was a character. And the writing, like I said, was a very simple writing, as we are talking right now and we do in our real life. So I guess that as an actor helped me a lot, because the complicated lines, the complicated narrative, the complicated direction might just confuse you as an actor, because then there's a baggage, because she's the only one, like I said, is expressive more than anybody else, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So these all aspects helped me, and I believe in my own instinct, and I was there at every scene. I was there fully present, and I guess that really helped me deliver what I could.
I love everything you said. I love how you talk about being present. It seems to me that's the sign of good writing, good direction, and good acting. It seems to me. And isn't that Nikhil? Isn't that one of the lessons of the film? Nishi is not present. Clearly, he's just not there. And I love that scene between the two of you as husband and wife when he asks the question about, was it about the man with the balloons? And I think you say, well, he's always been there. Haven't you noticed before? And this major shift in his life, and now he notices. It's just a beautiful commentary. It seems to me on staying present, on looking closer, on listening more, and so on. Jitendra, I have a question for you. Before, do you really smoke that much in real life?
I used to, not now. And
glad to hear that. Yeah, they're bad for you, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, Mr. Mahajan made it look like him a chain smoker, and like Gauri said, and I would like to add this thing, that the precision, the the homework, and along with that, the narrative and the impromptuness of the director. I the palette which you see in the film, the shots which you see in the film, actors who are acting, the subtext which you see in the film, which you could feel, and I could feel that you felt it so much, with so much love. All of that is given by none other than uh, this beloved director and friend of mine, Nikhil. So, yeah, whatever you see and whatever we are able to deliver is because of him. Yeah, I used to, coming back to your question, I used to smoke that much, not now.
I'm glad to hear that, but I think I love your phrase. There's so much love in the film, and I think that's absolutely right. That's a beautiful way. Nikhil, could that have been a tagline? The tagline for the film is "Find your faith," but so much love. Could that have been a tagline for the film?
I don't know if it could be a tagline, but I think that's why the film exists. If the film I'll just give you a little bit I'll just share a little anecdote with you. Is how this film came to be. We lost a very very dear friend of ours, Mr. Nishkant Kamath, who was an extraordinary filmmaker.
And who
He's very
the film is dedicated to.
dedicated to. Yeah. So he was very close to Jitu. We call Jitendra Jitu. So he was very close to Jitu, and he was a source of inspiration for me. He was a very very amazing filmmaker. So when we lost him, we got talking, and Jitendra and I, and we kind of came to an understanding that the only way we can kind of carry his legacy forward is by making a film. There's no other way. He would feel happy because his last days were really painful, and all that we wanted to do is give his soul some peace. And what better way than to make a film? So the film kind of stemmed from immense love for a friend, and I think that's what you feel throughout, because there's no other motive behind making this film. It was purely made to give someone peace, and I think it ended up giving a lot of peace to a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a beautiful context for sort of what unfolds and for the audience. Gauri, can you talk a little bit about tradition and how you see it in the country currently? I'm a father of two teenagers, and young people like to push back against tradition. I pushed back against tradition in my younger years. I've studied philosophy all of my life, most of my life, and I purposely sometimes would read authors that I knew would upset other people just so that I could open my mind, but also so I could talk about them in an intelligent way. And thankfully, most of those authors have mentored me in a particular way. But I wondered, is that a struggle currently, for you, for your family, for the communities that you move in, and for the country? Really, is this just something that is a part of life?
Mm, it is. It is in certain way, but I guess people are evolving here. People are. I would not say really ready to accept everything, but they're walking towards it. People have started listening to each other, and I guess that is helping a lot. The educational system is changing. The definition of being liberal is changing. I see my mom, and she's given me every freedom I asked for. She always supported me, and I lost my father when I was very young. but yet she did not bombard me with the tradition that you can't do this, you can't go certain way, and you can't do this, you have to do certain things. She did not do that. So when I take that legacy, when I have that much of sense of freedom that she taught me, I will definitely take care of my kids and let them just be. Having said that, to each is their own, but still we have that respect and certain uh, mm, how do I put it, काही ठरलेल्या गोष्टी आहेत, असं कसं सांगू मी निखिल, ज्या परंपरेच्या ठरलेल्या गोष्टी ज्या लगेच मोडल्या जाणार नाही, ज्याला वेळ लागेल.
Yeah. So what she's saying is that there are some things that are so deep rooted in tradition that they're little hard to kind of break away from. So yeah, so she's saying that while a lot is changing, uh, the more deep rooted things in our culture and our tradition are a little hard to break away from.
So could you say it? The river is probably always going to be there. It's the structure, sort of the foundation, but your relationship to it is clearly changing all the time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Jitendra, did you feel you as a person, you as an actor and a producer and a lyricist, did you feel that you experienced any kind of change through the film as a result of this character Nishi, this very honest, authentic character that you played? Did you feel that kind of redemption? Maybe is that the right word?
Yeah, you're right. After playing this particular character, um, what I felt, what changed a bit in me, uh, I think I have come more close towards me and my family. Though I am a loving person and I am not as aggressive as Nishikant is, but yeah, there are some similarities. But the kind of, while playing a character, if it is, it is wonderful to experience something which you haven't touched for so many years. So those untouched feelings of going within and realizing those moments, which I don't think I'll be able to realize in my personal life. I don't know. I might. Time will tell us. But while playing some of the characters, it doesn't happen every time. But the kind of character Nishikant has, it's a difficult character. Yeah, he's a difficult person, but he is very simple at the same time. He is, I always feel that the the believer who always believe in God will not be able to find the God each time. But non-believer, he just need one thing, one chance to believe, and he'll go beyond all the believers. The realization, the person who is not realizing anything, and he realizes that thing which was there. Nothing is away from
so
us.
Good. Jitendra, it's so good. Realizing that thing that was already there. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is always there. Like you said, give me a second. Brother, look at him. He's Nishikant. Because of him, we made this film. Now, what is tradition? Like for me, for Nikhil, I'm sure, the tradition is filmmaking, which is changing, no doubt. Nishi was there, now he is not there. He won't be able to make the film. Yeah, but film is being made for him, which is Nikhil made it. So the tradition of filmmaking will be there. It is there within us. Everyone, every single relationship, every single job we do, there is immense love and immense hatred.
Mm.
And what is hatred? Hatred is lack of love. So love is within, but we are realizing it when we don't have that. What do you call it? Uh, it's a moment. It's a moment, and it's the atom of love which is within. And when it will blast, the hatred will go away, and life will flow like Godavari. Godavari will be there. There are, like, I always feel, David, I'm sorry for my very long answer, but
Oh, it's okay.
I always feel that I don't know the name of my great great grandmother.
Mm.
Okay, I know my mother's name, I know my grandmother's name. I don't know my mother's grandmother's great great grandmother's name, but some of the dishes which my mother cook, or now even I cook, is given by my great great grandmother. You getting my point?
I am getting your point. Yes,
That
little
that that,
little
that,
pieces of her and
that
her.
yeah, that taste of her given by her. Though the hands are not there, but taste is still there, and it will be there. If you need it, it will come, and it is there. Yeah, it is
No, it's
there.
so good. I mean, the idea, if Jitendra, what I take from that is this: your words, this immense love in the film, but this immense love of your great grandmother preparing those simple, beautiful, tasty, nutritious meals, right?
Yeah,
And that a piece of that is being passed on as we are parents, as your parents. I think it's a wonderful observation, and I think it's deeply rooted in this film. Nikhil, I love so many lines, so many favorite moments. The cinematography is stunning in the film too, by the way. But the line of Rumi, "Don't seek water, seek thirst." I mean, is this? Would you say this story is about the seeking? It's for us as seekers to be asking questions, to be step. What did Heraclitus say? You can't step into the same river twice,
Same river twice.
right?
Whether you
So
change or the river changes.
yeah. So can you talk a little bit about that deep? I mean, I love Rumi, but that deep seated wisdom, I think, that Jitendra was talking about here in this story.
Hmm. Hmm. It is definitely about seeking, and I feel it is also about unable to seek.
Mm,
Um, it is about sometimes we perceive tradition like what Gauri was hinting at is that deep rooted things that you can't, it's the shackles that you can't break away from. Right? It's
right.
it is just sometimes they're not really shackles, and it's what we feel they are. It's because everything is so invisible. It's not things that you can touch, but like the Rumi line is, don't seek water, seek thirst. And it is very it's a very important thing for the father to say, because it's pretty much the first thing that he says to the son within the course of this film. um, it's very important that he passes on some of the knowledge that he's gained from all the books that he's read, and to tell his son the most important thing that has kind of stuck with him, because that's the first thing he's going to say, and probably that's going to be one of the last things that he says to him as well, given the nature of their time together. So I feel, yeah, it is very much about seeking. It is also about being unable to seek, and it is about making peace with being able to seek whatever it is that you were able to seek while during your time here. I think it's very important, because many times we can go on a goose chase, really, really going after things that don't matter. So it's also important to know where to stop seeking. And it's about all those things. So yeah, so that line kind of sums up the father. Um,
It's such a great line and such a great moment. Mothers can be flawed but never filthy. I mean, what a wonderful line in the film as well. Nikhil, before I let you go and move over, I want to ask Gauri another question. But can you talk a little bit about metaphor and symbol? Gauri mentioned how the city was a character in this film. One of my favorite shots, and there are so many, believe me, but one of my favorite shots is where Jitendra and Sarita are sitting on the steps, and you pull back, and I think we see sitting over here on sort of stage left, I guess it is, or stage right, I'm not sure which, the man with the balloons. It's such a beautiful moment, and it kind of speaks to me about what the whole film, that one shot is the whole film. One frame tells the whole story. But I love how you use stone, how you use brickwork in this film. Can you talk a little bit about that as a writer and as a director?
First of all, I would really like to thank you for observing this, because it was very much conscious on my part that I wanted to kind of make the audience feel that place, because it is speaking about structures, and it is speaking about structures falling apart, and then the structure as an idea applies to buildings as well as relationships and families, right? So it is important for us to see what they're made of, right? So when you see a building made of stone, a particular kind of stone, a particular texture of stone, color of stone, it is also representative of what is happening to the structures that are behind that particular structure. How is it changing? How this old town is no longer going to be there eventually. Maybe 10 years down the line, if we go to Nasik, it won't look like this. Maybe those stairs won't exist. So it was also very important for me as a filmmaker to ensure that all of this beauty is now preserved in film for for time to come. So yeah, stones, and old Nasik is beautiful, and everything lends terrific texture visually to the story.
Yeah, it's good. Does that connect at all to one of your first comments about how you approach this, not so much as a genre piece, but you approached it a bit differently stylistically?
Yeah, it's pretty much that, because I intended that, my whole thought was that, if you're sitting by the river, I don't know if you've ever had the chance to, but if we sit by the river and just look at the river flow, and if you could just kind of touch the flowing river with your index finger, a river has energy that it gives you. It is maybe it's kinetic energy, I don't know what it is, but you feel something very strongly, and I wanted to create exactly that feeling of sitting by the banks and watching the river flow. When you're watching this film, I wanted you to never really get into it, but just observe as an audience. Even though Nishi is stepping in the river, I never really wanted the audience to feel one with it, so much so that they lose objectivity of what's going on. So it was very much conscious to all of that coming together.
Yeah, it's so wow, what a masterful job on your part. And just Gauri, you talked earlier about the collaborative aspect of the work and the film, and I think that's one of the things I love so much about filmmaking and storytelling is there are so many creative people involved, and to bring something to a place, first of all, to even finish the film is monumental. And then to get it in front of audience is a whole other part of it. I was talking to a filmmaker recently, a few weeks ago, and he said, "Hey, listen, once the film is finished, you're only 50% of the way done. You still have a long way to go." And I just thought that was really wise. Gauri, there's a wisdom to me in this film, and I think you talked a little bit about that, how Nikhil directed you very simply. I'm wondering about that wisdom in the film, because every character, including Sarita, there's a wisdom there. And is that deeply connected to this idea of tradition? I think a lot of people in the West, when you say tradition, they'll say, oh, the way things used to be, or, tradition is synonymous with being old, or not necessarily wise. Tradition is the way we used to do it. Does any of that make sense? I just wonder, could you talk a bit about that wisdom as an actor, but as a, as I think you said you're a mom as well, as a, I'd love to hear more from you on that.
I feel, like I said, the brief given was precise. And the character Gautami, in terms of wisdom, first of all, I guess she has a whole lot of acceptance about the situation. Unlike Nishikant, he has issue with everything. He's living there, but still he is not ready to accept anything. Neither is he doing something for it.
Well, Gauri, there was a wisdom in the character that you play, the fact that you are deeply in love with this man still, that you haven't left, that you haven't walked away, that you put up with his chain smoking. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And that is the basis of love, that you accept the person, as he is. And like I said, my mother always gave me that freedom. So I took that quality, that what if this character Gautami has that sense to give someone so much of freedom to decide what is good for him, and not to impose anything. Being a wife, Indian wives are pretty much that's all, that you have to do it. You have to come and you have to pick her up and you have to take her to the school and stuff like that. But she is someone who's accepted the way Nishikant is. He's going through something. He's upset with himself. He's upset. And she's just, and there's so much to handle. There's Sarita, there's family, there's Azoba. And, she has a lot of work to do, but she's doing it effortlessly. You don't see Gautami's character frowning. You don't see her upset. You don't see her there. What am I into? What am I doing? This Godavari is there, like Nishikant is doing. So first of all, it's within the wisdom and the acceptance. And because of that, I guess she's flowing like the river. She's going with the flow and she's taking it slow and steadily and with love, with compassion. She's going day by day, one day at a time. And what is the problem? She's talkative. She talks to Nishikant if there is a problem. She manages her mother-in-law, that I will talk to him. Let me go and talk to him.
Right.
She is taking that responsibility on the shoulder while going through a lot, like everybody's mother. Our mothers are going through a lot, but still they're smiling. Go safe to, have you eaten your food? And that is the biggest quality of every mother. And that I try to do, that the wisdom can help you in many ways to accept the situation and to just go with the flow, that everything is, first of all, you should have that faith that everything is going to be fine and we'll figure this out. Let's talk, let's have communication. And she's the one in the house who's always ready to communicate, who's always ready to sort the things out, to put water on the fire that Nishikant brings in the house. So always she knows that she needs to do this.
Yeah.
So I guess if I've given the right answer to your question.
No, there is no right answer, it seems to me, but that is a pretty beautiful and comprehensive and holistic answer. It seems to me you covered a lot of ground there. I think that you're right. There, the acceptance and the freedom and the love and the wisdom is so bound up, or at least we hope it's going to be bound up in our relationships in our community. Nikhil, that's something that really struck me about your film. It is so deeply relational. It's not only is it rooted in family, I mean, it's rooted in community. It's rooted in the singular to the universal. Do you know what I mean by that? There's
Yeah.
this profound sense of wonder and mystery, and I think we've already talked about it. But in this one man story, essentially, that applies, in my mind, applies globally. Did you have that in mind when you were writing this film, this story?
Um, Not actively. I wasn't actively going for it. I was very honestly trying to do the most honest job of telling this one man story. And I think what he's going through, I think what it deals with fundamentally is the fact that everybody's going to die one day, and I think that is very universal. I think we are all going to die, and when that kind of dawns upon us, I feel no matter whether somebody's sitting in, say, Japan or India or Canada or Mexico, everybody is going to pretty much do the same things. Is to kind of, so I think that is why it feels universal, and I think also because, mm, like you said rightly, you have two children, and the pushback from the between generations, there always that friction, and I think that friction is just across the planet. I think it's everywhere. It's sad because we are all constantly evolving, and through various different in various different ways. But no,
Thanks, Nicole. That's Jitendra. I'm wondering, you as a person, do you push back against tradition?
No, I love my traditions. I love the beautiful part of India and its ancient tradition is apart from uh, there are so many isms, there are so many religions, there are so many things, but it has people, and this lovely country has always accepted everything. And there are so many saints, there are so many philosophers, there are so many great writers, poets. uh, they gave us so much to understand. They thought so much about life and beyond the life, beyond everything. And so I feel privileged to be born in my beloved country.
Mm.
I'm privileged to be born in the country where like Rumi said, that the love, about the love or about the oneness. Same in Maharashtra, there is a same Saint Jnaneshwar. He said the same thing. And so I'm so privileged as a child, as a person, because I got to learn a lot, read a lot, listen a lot from
Mm.
so many people. There are so many events like these, and in my home, at my neighborhood, I got so much from uh, those things. And that's how, like, I've told this in my another interview also. David, Godavari was the first river where I went in
As
with
you
my
mean as do you
grandmother
mean as a child?
as a child. I was what? I was 9, 10 years old, and Godavari is the first river where I went in that river. And what Nikhil was saying, you could feel that you know charge, and you could feel that. I to always feel, David, when I go to any ancient holy place, may it be uh, may it be a temple or a gurudwara, or where, that so many people, so many generations have touched, the place have so much energy of all those people,
Sure.
all those giants, all those thinkers, all those devotees, all those. So yeah, man, I feel that I'm a privileged man,
Yeah.
you know, to
It's
be
yeah,
born
no,
in
it's
this
so
country and to be
it's so great. I mean, I think there's some threads here to our conversation, and clearly there are threads in the film too. But the idea that there's for me anyway, what I heard you say, Jitendra, is there's almost a redemptive edge to that kind of history and that kind of tradition and that kind of these ancient holy places. And I kind of say, I kind of go, wow. I mean, can that apply to nature? Can that apply to communities? You know, the ancient wisdom found within a community, right? Not necessarily
yeah,
just a temple, but it could be many,
yeah,
many different places. I think that's something so
yeah,
beautiful and so simple
yeah,
and so human.
absolutely, absolutely.
So
I feel, yeah, yeah.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I feel that, you know, like we, we, we differentiate it in so many things, but a poet is a poet. You know, I've heard this one line, which is so beautiful. I'll try to explain it in English. That sometimes the window is open and the light is coming. When the light comes, the poet takes out his pen and starts writing it. When the light goes away, poet stops. He has nothing but the light. If the light is coming, you are able to write. The day light is not come, you will not be able to write. But if you are still writing, then this poem belongs to you. But when light comes and you write, that poem belongs to him or her or them.
Mm,
So write it when that Wi-Fi, when that Bluetooth is connected. If you write it then and there, and in those words which they have allowed us to write, then that poetry is belong to David, it belongs to Nikhil, it belongs to Gauri, it belongs to Jitendra, it belongs to so many people, including
yeah.
Rumi and Nyaneshwar also,
I don't know, you know,
including Nishika.
it's really insightful, thoughtful stuff. Could we talk about Nico? Could we talk about a metaphysical Bluetooth? Uh, yeah, I think, I mean, for me, what I heard too, Jitendra, was just the notion that we are in fact all kind of connected, in our own ways, and in this hopefully post-COVID era that we're slowly moving into globally, something that's kind of brought us together, but also really separated us in other ways. I mean, I'm just, this is why I love films like this. And I love that you were able to come together and create and collaborate on something that is truly a beautiful work that I think will speak to so many people. And Nico, just before I ask you maybe the final question, Gary, I'm wondering, there's another wonderful moment in the film for me where I think it's the man who's bathing in the river, where Nishi's getting upset with him. Stop drinking the water, right? Don't drink the water. Don't drink. And the line was, God made one mistake. He should have given us an ear here. Like, this is just, I've never heard the idea. I've never heard anyone even speak words similar to that. I mean, people talk about listening. Would you say that you now have an ear here as a result of working on this film? Oh, you're still
Gauri,
you're
mute,
still
mute.
muted. You're still muted.
Yes, yes, yes. Definitely is.
Yeah, definitely.
100%. And I guess that comes from faith. That's line and the expression which that person is looking into Nishikant's eyes, and the beautiful shot, which is one of my favorites, is after that dialogue has happened, Nishikant automatically, unintentionally picks up the plastic in the river and that is the best part, because then it is, however, I mean, it is either you've started connecting to your higher self, either you started knowing what is exactly the faith is, because the way he talks to Nishikant, that people who already love Godavari, you're pushing them away,
Mm.
and you're concentrating on some other things which are useless. You're wasting your energy. And that's the reason he says that you should have one ear, because you once you hear what is exactly your heart is saying, you'll follow your heart, you'll follow your instinct, and that will lead to definitely something very positive, and for which you don't need to meditate, you don't need to come and sit there at the river, and it comes from within.
Yeah, it's
So I
good.
guess that was the moment. After that dialogue is the first time when Nishikant connects with his higher self. Nishikant starts listening to his own instinct. Um,
So good.
this
It's
is
so good.
yeah.
I love that you talked about your favorite part of the film. I love that. Nikel, do you know do either any of you know the French philosopher Blaise Pascal? His line in the Pensée, he died at a very young age. He didn't get to finish his writing, but the quote is, my paraphrase here, the quote is, the heart has its reasons that reason cannot know.
Yeah.
That and I kind of I reflected on that, and I will continue to reflect on that, because ultimately, for me anyway, this film is about so many things. But I think, Ari, you've hit the nail on the head for me. I mean, I really think this is about sitting back, paying attention, and listening and loving more. That's kind of my kind of a quick assessment about
takeaway.
it. But what a beautiful offering you've made for the world. Nikhil, can you talk a little bit? I hate to have to end our conversation here, and maybe we can extend this another time, but can you talk a little bit about what's next for the film as you head to the Vancouver International Film Festival, theatrical release? Where can people get to see this? Tell us a little bit more as we wrap up.
Yeah, just before I answer that, I would just really like to bring the focus onto the co-writer of the film, Prajakta Deshmukh. He's the guy who came up with that line uh, about having a ear near your heart. He's just really talented young writer, and is deeply insightful and very sensitive. So a lot of this film has come from him and my endless conversations with him. So
I
big
bet
thank you,
endless
Raja.
conversation,
Yeah,
no doubt, no doubt.
yeah. So I just wanted to just bring him into focus a little bit. He's
And
not here, but
what's his name, Nico?
his name is Prajakta Deshmukh, and he just won this really prestigious award called the Sahitya Akademi award here in India. He won it for his musical stage play that he had written and directed. So he's this very talented guy. Just coming back quickly to your question is I you know uh, we are just grateful that we were able to make a film in these times. We shot in the middle of the pandemic,
Mm.
by the banks of a densely populated river. So we are just lucky to have been able to make this film. And
Nikhil,
uh,
I heard that you shot this in 16 days.
yes, that's right.
That's crazy talk.
Well, we find it hard to believe ourselves sometimes.
I bet.
I feel time had just slowed down for those 16 days. But no, so we are releasing domestically here. We just had the good news of theaters reopening here in India. They're reopening on the 22nd of October, and it will release wide here in India on the 3rd of December. From Vancouver, it is then traveling to New Zealand. It's playing at the New Zealand International Film Festival,
Amazing.
And hopefully a few more festivals from there on. We don't really have a European premiere yet, but once I think we have our wide Indian release, then we'll move on to kind of finding streaming services depending on how we get reviewed in Canada, and what the word of the mouth is
Yeah,
on the film.
word of mouth is so important now, isn't it? And with
Yeah, yeah,
being, theaters are just starting to open up here as well. And I'm not
yeah,
even sure people are, even though many people are still wearing masks and probably will continue, they're not totally comfortable yet going back in.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's going to take a little while. But this is where video on demand and this kind of technology, Zoom-based technology, that
yeah,
makes all the difference in the world. Well, what a pleasure having you all on Face to Face. I can't believe how fast time has gone, and hopefully I'm going to receive some emails about we need to see a part 2 on this conversation. Maybe we'll be able to do that down the road. And again, congratulations to all of you. What a beautiful, moving, and compassionate story. And Nikhil, I'm so thrilled that you decided to do this. Please give the co-writer a hug for me when you see him next.
I will do that. I will do that.
What a pleasure. We've been
Yes.
talking with director Nikhil Mahajan, Jitendra Joshi, and Gauri Nalavdi here about their beautiful and moving new film, Godavari. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
for having us.
Thank you,
Thank you.
David.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So there you have it. Nikhil Mahajan, Jitendra Joshi, and Gauri Nalavdi speaking about can you tell it was one of my favorite movies of this past 12 months, Godavari. Look for it soon on video on demand, possibly coming to a theater near you. It's a stunning, beautiful cinematic film about so many things, touching and compassionate on a variety of levels. And I really hope you enjoyed the conversation, and we'll look forward to seeing the film if you haven't already seen it. A big thanks to Nikhil, Jitendra, and Gauri for joining me here today on Face to Face. Don't forget davidpecklive.com. Check out my writing and more information about my writing and speaking there. You can get to facetofacelive.ca as well. Please leave us a review. Sign up wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe and leave us a review. And also, you can sign up for our newsletter too if you want. We only send a couple of those out a year. And if you're watching or listening, watching on YouTube, like us and subscribe to the channel. We would really appreciate it. Until next time, thanks for listening. My name's David Peck, and you've been listening here on Face to Face Live.